My fiancé said, "We're not married yet, so sleeping with someone else isn't wrong." When I found out she'd been cheating with my best friend and selling my company's secrets to him, I didn't confront her. I let the wedding happen. Until the USB played. She told me, "We're not married yet, so sleeping with someone else isn't wrong." That sentence didn't just break me, it switched something off inside me. I didn't scream. I just stood there, watching the woman I was about to marry justify sleeping with my best friend like it was nothing. That night I didn't leave. I told her it was fine that mistakes happen. She looked relieved. But while she thought everything was fixed, I had already started planning. I stopped being her fiancé that day. I became the man who would reveal her lies. And all it took was one USB drive. I'm Alex, 32, running a small cybersecurity company. We had big clients and a close team. My best friend Mark and my fiancée Sophie were part of that circle. Sophie was smart, charming, everyone liked her instantly. Mark and I often joked she was too good for me. He helped plan the proposal, even went ring shopping with me. I never suspected anything. Months before the wedding, Sophie acted strangely, late-night secretive phone calls. She said she was helping a friend. I didn't press. One night, I came home early and saw an email draft to Mark with a confidential file. My stomach sank. This wasn't public data. After she went to bed, I had a trusted engineer check the logs, and it confirmed my fears. Someone accessed our system from Sophie's apartment. The evidence was clear. She had betrayed me. That confirmed it. It wasn't paranoia. I didn't confront her yet. I needed to know everything first. I hired a private investigator who specialized in cyber forensics. He cross-checked our logs, traced encrypted emails, and found that the files had been sent to an address connected to Mark's company. While he was working on that, something else happened. Sophie told me she wanted to have a girls' weekend. I said sure. She flew to another city with her friends. Or at least that's what she told me. The investigator's GPS tracker showed her phone location at a hotel 30 miles away, where Mark had checked in under a different name. There were photos. Dinner, drinks, both of them walking into the same hotel room. When she came back, she was all smiles. Hugged me like nothing happened. Talked about how much she missed me, how excited she was for the wedding. I said I missed her too. A few days later, I confronted her. "Are you happy with us?" I asked. She looked confused. "Of course I am." "Why?" "Nothing. Just making sure," I said. Then she added, like she needed to confess something small, "I did something stupid once. I slept with someone. It was a mistake. But it doesn't count. We weren't married yet." I told her I forgave her and still wanted to marry her. She looked at me like I was the best man on earth, but inside I had already made my decision. I already had the investigator's final report. Emails, transactions, screenshots, photos, timestamps. Mark had paid her for the files through a fake consulting account. The money trail was clean, but the metadata wasn't. Everything led back to them. From that day, I stopped being her partner and started acting. I went to work like normal. Helped finalize wedding plans. Ordered flowers, picked music, smiled in photos. She thought I'd moved past it. Mark attended the bachelor party, keeping up appearances as if nothing had happened. What they didn't know was that the USB drive I carried in my pocket didn't have wedding songs or slideshows. It had everything. Every message, every payment, every hotel timestamp. All I had to do was wait until the right moment to press play. For the next few weeks, I acted like nothing had happened. That was the hardest part. Pretending to love someone you're quietly planning to expose takes a level of control I didn't know I had. Sophie was in full wedding mode. Dress fittings, cake tasting, arguing with her mom about the seating chart. I went along with it. I smiled for photos, sent invitations, even held her hand in public. She told me all the time how much she appreciated me for being patient and understanding. Every time she said that, I felt sick. At work, I kept things quiet. I didn't tell anyone about Mark or Sophie. Not yet. My team was investigating the security breach in silence. I told them to keep everything under wraps. When the audit was done, I had everything I needed. The digital fingerprints, the transaction logs, the proof that the data Sophie sent was later used in one of Mark's product pitches. There was no doubt left. Mark, meanwhile, was acting like nothing was wrong. He called me bro, sent me memes, talked about the wedding like he was best man material. When he said he was bringing a date to the wedding, I almost laughed. A week before the ceremony, I met with my lawyer and the investigator. We prepared a clean copy of all evidence, organized, verified, time-stamped. I asked them to hold it until after the wedding. My lawyer gave me a look like he wanted to ask questions, but he didn't. That night, Sophie and I went over last-minute details at home. She was sitting on the couch, scrolling through Pinterest photos of honeymoon spots. I watched her for a while, and thought how strange it was that she could look so normal while lying through her teeth. "Are you nervous about the wedding?" she asked me. "No," I said. "You? Not at all. I just want it to be perfect." "It will be," I told her, and for once I meant it, just not the way she thought. She leaned over and kissed me, said she couldn't wait to start our new life together. I smiled back. Inside, I was counting down the days. 3 days before the wedding, I met Mark at a bar. He ordered whiskey for both of us and toasted to the big day. I played along. "You're a lucky man," he said, grinning. "Yeah," I replied. "I guess I am," he laughed. "You have no idea. That line stuck in my head." He really thought he'd won. Back home, I went over the presentation one last time. The USB drive had 2 folders, one labeled Wedding Slideshow, one labeled Backup Files. The second folder was the truth. It started with the video of Sophie and Mark at the hotel, followed by the investigation summary, emails, file transfers, money trail, and final confirmation that she'd sold out my company. I rehearsed how the ceremony would go in my head. When the officiant asked me the question, I'd have the tech guy connect the USB. I'd let the evidence speak for itself. The night before the wedding, Sophie fell asleep next to me, smiling. I couldn't sleep. I just stared at the ceiling, wondering when exactly she stopped loving me or if she ever did. The morning of, everything felt surreal. My parents were there, her family buzzing with excitement. Sophie looked beautiful in her dress, and everyone kept saying how lucky I was. I went through the motions, smiling, nodding, shaking hands, while inside, I was numb. Mark arrived 10 minutes before the ceremony, wearing a smug grin. He gave me a quick pat on the shoulder and said, "Ready to make her yours?" "Absolutely," I said. He laughed. I didn't. As the guests took their seats and the music started, I felt completely calm. My best man whispered, "You good?" "Never better," I said. The USB was already plugged into the projector. All I had to do was give the signal. Everyone thought they were here to see a wedding. They were really here to see the truth. The ceremony started on time. The hall was packed, around 200 people. Her parents had gone all out. Flowers, lights, music, the whole thing looked like a movie set. I stood at the altar in my suit, pretending to be nervous. I wasn't. The bridesmaids walked down the aisle, then Sophie appeared. She looked perfect. White dress, soft smile, holding her dad's arm. Everyone turned to watch. Cameras flashed. Her dad was smiling too, proud and unaware of what was about to happen. When she reached me, she whispered, "You look amazing." "So do you," I said. The officiant started the usual lines about love, trust, and honesty. I almost laughed at the irony. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Mark sitting in the second row. He had that same smug look, pretending nothing was wrong. He even gave me a small nod like we shared some inside joke. The ceremony moved fast. Then came the vows. Sophie went first. She said all the right things. How I was her best friend. How she couldn't imagine life without me. How she'd always be faithful and honest. I had to bite the inside of my cheek to stop from laughing. When it was my turn, I took a deep breath and looked at the crowd. "Before I say my vows," I said, "I want to show everyone something. It's short but important." The officiant looked confused. Sophie smiled nervously, whispering, "Babe, what is this?" I gave a small nod to the technician at the back. The lights dimmed. The projector came on. At first, everyone thought it was a slideshow. The opening clip showed Sophie and Mark at a restaurant, laughing over dinner. Then the next clip, both of them walking into a hotel, holding hands. You could feel the air change. People started whispering. Sophie froze. Her smile disappeared. "Alex, what are you doing?" She whispered, voice shaking. The next slide wasn't a photo, it was a report. A document from a cyber investigation firm, complete with logos, timestamps, and her name. It showed the data transfers, IP addresses, and the files sent from her laptop to Mark's company. Emails followed on screen, her sending him company documents labeled confidential. His reply, "Got it. Payment coming your way." Then a screenshot of her bank account showing the transfer. Someone in the crowd gasped. Her father stood up, staring at the screen like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Sophie started crying, whispering my name, begging me to stop. The final slide was a summary. Investigation confirmed unauthorized data transfer by Sophie Lane to Mark Turner, resulting in corporate theft. The lights came back on. Sophie's makeup was running, her hands trembling. "Alex, please, we can talk about this later. Please stop." I took the mic from the officiant and said calmly, "You told me sleeping with someone else wasn't wrong because we weren't married. You also said selling my company's data wasn't a big deal. It was just business. You were right about one thing. We weren't married. And now we never will be." The crowd was dead silent. Cameras were still recording. Mark looked like he wanted to disappear. Her dad shouted, "Sophie, tell me this isn't true." She just sobbed harder. I handed the mic back to the officiant, took one last look at her and said, "I hope you and Mark are very happy together. Maybe you can share a cell someday." Then I turned around and walked out. Behind me I could hear chaos, people yelling, her mother crying, Sophie begging someone to stop filming. But nobody did. Outside it was quiet. I took off my tie, got in my car and drove away. I didn't feel angry. The wedding was over. The wedding was over before it even began. I checked into a hotel that night, still in my suit, still wearing the ring I never gave her. I ordered a drink, sat by the window, and watched messages flood my phone. Calls from friends, family, people who were at the ceremony. I didn't answer any of them. By the next morning, the video from the wedding had already spread online. Someone had recorded the whole thing. You could see Sophie's face, the crowd's reaction, everything. People were tagging her company, Mark's company, even mine. At first I was annoyed. Then I realized I didn't have to do anything. The internet would handle it. Within a day, Mark's board of directors announced an internal investigation. 2 days later, they fired him. Sophie was suspended from her job pending legal review. My lawyer submitted the official evidence packet to the authorities. Emails, financial transactions, everything authenticated by the cyber investigation firm. It turned into a criminal case faster than I expected. Turns out what they did fell under corporate espionage and trade secret theft. Those carry real prison time. A week later, both of them were charged. Mark tried to claim he didn't know the files were stolen. The investigators traced the money from his company account directly to Sophie's fake consulting invoice. That was enough to end that argument. Sophie's defense was that she didn't realize the data was confidential. The timestamps and her deleted messages proved otherwise. Their lawyers tried to settle quietly, but I refused. I wanted everything on record. During that time, Sophie kept trying to reach me. Texts, voicemails, even an email claiming she was mentally broken. I never replied. There was nothing left to explain. My parents asked if I was okay. I told them yes, I actually was. When you spend months living with a lie, the truth, even a brutal one, feels peaceful. Her parents reached out too. They were humiliated. Her mom cried on the phone, said she didn't raise her daughter like that. Her dad apologized for what happened at the wedding. I told him he didn't owe me anything. He sounded old and tired when he said, "I just wish you'd told us before you showed the video." I told him I wish I didn't have to. The trial dragged on for months. In the end, Mark took a plea deal. 18 months in prison, heavy fines, lifetime ban from his industry. Sophie got a lighter sentence, community service and probation. But her career was over. No company would touch her again. As for me, I went back to work. My team stayed loyal. Clients respected how I handled it, quietly, professionally, without dragging the company's name into the mess. Revenue actually went up because of the publicity. A few weeks later, I took what would have been our honeymoon flight to Italy, alone. I spent most of the trip in small cafes, reading, walking, thinking. There wasn't any sadness left, just quiet. I deleted the video from my phone, not because I regretted it, but because the truth had already done its work. The truth had already done its job. On the flight home, I wrote down a line in my notes app. She said sleeping with someone else wasn't wrong because we weren't married. She was right. And now she'll never be free again. When I landed, I archived every file, closed the case, and went on with my life. I don't check on Sophie or Mark anymore. I don't care where they are. The last thing I heard was that she moved back in with her parents, trying to start over. Mark lost everything, job, car, reputation. People sometimes ask if I'd forgive her. I already did, but not the way she expected. Forgiveness isn't pretending it didn't happen. It's stopping caring. I stopped the moment that video ended. It's been almost a year now. People still ask what happened to her, but I don't have much to say. She made her choices. I made mine. Sometimes strangers message me after seeing the video, calling me a legend. I don't feel like one. I just did what was fair. If there's one thing I learned, it's that silence is more powerful than revenge. You don't have to shout to destroy someone. You just have to let the truth speak for itself. And that's exactly what I did.